Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they pledge you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week, we once again visit our friends down in Fraggle Rock as we continue watching Season 3 with some episodes from March of 1985 titled The Secret Society of the Poohbahs, The Beanbarrow, The Burden, and the Bright Bouquet, and Gobo's School for Explorers. And we also watched a few other random clips of Uncle Traveling Matt that we came across because we have to watch everything. That's the rule.
They're very random. One is just like, I looked over here. That's it.
I don't always watch everything that I find for us before we watch it for the podcast. So I don't vet these things. So sometimes we get some uninteresting things.
One way or the other, though, I would have to watch it too. It doesn't really matter.
That's true. But, would this podcast be any different had we not watched that one clip? I don't think so. Maybe we unlocked a truth that we don't realize yet. I guess
someday in 10 years we'll go, oh, that's why the man dropped the boomerang.
Well, and don't we get the pride really of being able to say, oh, you haven't seen that one weird Uncle Traveling Matt commercial for CITV? Oh,
you haven't seen when the man dropped the boomerang?
Not a real Muppet fan, are you? Well, before diving into that deep, deep well of Uncle Traveling Matt knowledge that we have to explore today, I just wanted to bring up, Sam, it's been about a month since we recorded our last episode. The audience...
Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Almost exactly a month since we recorded our last episode. So I just wanted to check in and see, are you feeling ready to podcast this morning? Did you do all your podcast stretches?
No, I didn't. I am feeling a little bit like... I woke up and I was like, oh, God, I have to go downstairs. But no, I mean, I podcast a lot in my everyday life anyway. So I'm feeling okay. I just, when I started watching Fraggle Rock, I was like, what the hell? What is this?
Yeah, I've been to Italy and back. You've been to Baltimore and back. We're world travelers over here at Commitment in the time since we last podcasted.
But I went, la 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 la.
Your vocal warm-ups.
La, 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 la. I should do that.
Is there anything you do to actually prepare to podcast?
No, I should. I brush my teeth. Usually I brush my teeth. I used to drink a bit of lemon water years ago. I don't do that anymore.
See, I got to have a cup of coffee when we record. That's like a go-to.
Oh, yeah.
There are times, though, I wake up, that voice a little scratchy. I have a special throat coat tea that I fill with honey and use that sometimes if I'm feeling a little rough in the mornings.
I had a big piece of pizza before this, so I'm all screwed up.
I had a 10 a.m. pizza.
I had a 9 a.m. pizza.
I can't do pizza before 10, I don't think.
Cold is okay. I can't have a hot piece of pizza before 10. I can have a cold piece of pizza before. We're back, baby. Look at this. We're podcasting
This
now.
banter? What are we doing here? I didn't even mention that it's spooky month, Sam. It's your time of the year.
I haven't even decorated for Halloween yet. I usually decorate on September 15th, so
You're way
so
behind.
far behind. Yeah. And this year is the first year where I'm like, oh no, I'm a grown up because I haven't started my Halloween costume.
Do you know what you're doing?
I don't have any plans for Halloween.
Yes.
So I might not even have a Halloween costume, and I haven't put my decorations up. I have been listening to my playlist since the end of August.
Ooh.
So my Halloween playlist.
Internally, you've been in the spirit of Halloween for a while, but you're just starting to.
Oh yeah.
Well, we've got more podcasts coming before Halloween actually hits, and we will have a special Halloween podcast this year, which I'm not looking forward to at all.
Me either. You're going to hate it so much, man.
I truly am. For those that don't know, we're going to watch Meet the Feebles for Halloween this year, which I know is bad.
I think it's not bad.
No?
I think it is good, but I think it is reprehensible in a way that I know I've engaged with other media with you in the similar vein that you have disliked. So.
Yeah. No, it'll be hard for me to put it in any other context than the morally reprehensible things I have seen about it.
I'm sure I've said this before, but I watched it at like 2:00 in the morning on Independent Film Channel when I was probably
way too
14.
Young. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, and it like the part I turned on was like, oh, cute. And then it was like, oh, that puppet has breasts and now his face is melting. So
do you think you got to see a truly unedited version on TV?
I don't know, because we live in a country, you know, where violence is usually not edited out of things, but sexuality is. If anything, there's more sex than I saw.
Right, that's what I'm afraid of.
That I'm okay with. How could I not be okay with it after this podcast?
The things we have said
2.5
here.
years. Yeah. The things I've thought, the things I've said. I can see where Peter Jackson got there in that respect.
If anything, we applaud the bravery that it took for him to make Meet the Feebles.
He's a truth teller. That's what's important in art.
Well, speaking of art, let's talk about stuff that's maybe a little bit more tame than Meet the Feebles for now, Sam. What do we watch this week?
I don't know. Sometimes when I'm watching these guys in the background, I'm like, they're fucking. Sure, they're fucking. But anyway, so the first thing we watched in your little list, I don't know where it comes timeline wise. We watched a lot of outtakes from a traveling Matt shoot in Australia, followed by a clip of. I mean, they were just random clips. There was like. There's one really cute one where they had like the clapperboard thing, and he was like, "Get this square out of my way." But otherwise, it was just like, "Hey, look over there. Hey, look over there."
Yeah, we might as well just talk about them real quick right now because there's not much to say. They are mostly just bloopers, behind the scenes things. I think they're from 1983 because we previously watched a Gonzo clip from the same YouTube channel. It's just like an Australian TV YouTube channel that these are, like they say, not for broadcast across them as a watermark. So it's clearly just outtakes.
Somebody broke the rules.
Yeah, which I think at this point, you know, statute of limitations, it's been 40 years, you're fine.
I hope we get somebody fired.
But it, mostly is just Uncle Traveling Matt between recording segments for other things. And clearly Dave Goelz was sent there to promote the Muppet Show and record these Uncle Traveling Matt segments.
Somebody said, hey, let's just bring Gonzo too.
Yeah.
Why does Gonzo wear such normal clothes if he's the weird one? Have we talked about this before?
Well, I think at the time he was probably rocking his journalist, photographer outfit from Great Muppet Caper is what it looked like.
And he just kind of well, he started wearing a sweater vest in the Muppet Show. He started dressing up very normally. You remember?
I don't.
I can think of a time when he's like, "Hey, Johnny Cash, what's up?" And he's just wearing a regular. He's wearing a sweater vest and a collared shirt, and it's like, "What happened to you, Gonzo?"
Well, and also after the Muppet movie, he started wearing that little plumber outfit sometimes with like his vest over his button-up shirt. So he went from wearing that suit early on in the Muppet Show to wearing more casual outfits over time.
It just seems like such a reflection of Dave Goelz to me, like he really just started channeling himself up through his arm, and the puppet just sprouted boring clothes.
I am curious when, and I had to imagine it sometimes around Muppets Tonight in the 90s, when the, you know, crazy pepper shirt becomes a thing, or when his like wacky patterns start to be introduced.
Right. Which like is almost all I can't be mad at it though. It's like a little bit like, he's been wearing this for a while, kind of dated, but at the same time, it makes sense for him. And then after that, after all the clips and stuff, we also watched a very short clip of Matt hosting a morning block of children's television in, I believe, New Zealand, home of George R.R. Martin, in which he tells us that it is time for Dodger, Bonzo, and the rest. What does that mean?
Great question, Sam. I think the TV show he was throwing to, I'm guessing, had those characters.
It's a TV show. television drama series centered on the lives of Dodger and his sister Bonzo, who were part of a large foster family in London.
I also don't think this is from New Zealand. I think it's from England.
Oh, the New Zealand lamb commercial threw me off, I guess.
Yeah, there was a bunch of... Basically, we watched a 5-minute clip of commercials with 5 seconds of Uncle Traveling Matt. But I put this in there mostly because this is a thing that we don't have footage of that he would do. He was hosting these morning segments, and there was a lot more to this. The most I could find was this brief 5 seconds. So this is standing in as like representative of this thing he would do that we can't unfortunately watch.
Oh yeah, ITV, British free-to-air public broadcast. So this was CITV, which was children's ITV. Sorry to Britain and New Zealand.
The only thing we learn in this is that he says his favorite color is olive.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I suppose because he's always wearing explorer gear.
I guess that's maybe olive is the color of his safari jacket.
Olive is the color of his energy.
I knew it. When I said it that way, I was like, one of us is going to make that joke.
All right, then we watched some real stuff, Matt. Then we got real into it. We watched The Secret Society of Poohbahs, an episode of the show Fraggle Rock, which aired March 4th, 1985. There's a new secret society in Fraggle Rock, the Secret Society of Poohbahs. They wear masks, so no one knows who they are, and being a secret society, they're quite secretive, so no one knows what they do either. But Moki wants in real bad, even though she doesn't know anything about this club. Red, on the other hand, thinks the Poohbahs are pretty silly, but convinces Moki to approach and talk to their leader if she wants in so bad. She's helping Moki be brave. Moki does this, but fails to use proper etiquette when addressing the leader and makes a fool of herself. She goes off to mope when she is approached by a Poohbah who hands her a scroll inviting her to join. Moki rushes off to tell Red, even though according to the rules in the scroll, she's not supposed to tell anybody that she's been invited. A misstep that costs her at her induction the next day when the Poohbahs bring out a mind reader who accuses Moki of revealing her invitation. Moki begs and gravels to still be let in, and the Poohbahs say that she can be, but only if she and Red undergo a trial, or, to quote the lead Poohbah, tell them what she needs to tell them. Moki doesn't know what she's supposed to tell them or what that means, so the trial it is. She and Red learn the secret Poohbah language and head off to the trial, but the whole proceeding is so loaded down with goofy and obscure rules, etiquette, and points of order that Moki ends up getting she and Red in even more trouble. Now the only thing that can save them is for Moki to tell them whatever it is she's supposed to tell them, but she still doesn't know what that is. Eventually, as Red is wearing a fake nose and juggling soup, Moki gets frustrated and declares that the whole Poohbah thing is silly, at which point the Poohbahs congratulate her for realizing the truth. The Poohbahs are overly complicated and rules-laden as a joke to remind all Fraggles not to take things so seriously. And guess what else? All of her friends are already in the club and simply psychologically torturing Moki, and have been doing so for days. But she's in the club now, so I guess it's okay. Meanwhile, up in outer space, Doc is invited to join the Loyal Order of Chipmunks, but on the night of his induction, he can't keep a straight face through all of the ridiculous pomp and circumstance, so they kick him out. But he's cool with it, though. He just wants to hang out with his dog. The moral: your friends really are all out having fun without you and making fun of you, and you're right to be paranoid about it. I don't know. I guess it's really about not taking life too seriously.
That's what it seemed like it was trying to say was the moral, but the ending kind of betrays that a little bit, I think.
How so? By having all of her friends already be in it?
Yeah, that it wasn't a genuine lesson. That it seemed like throughout it, Red kept reminding Moki that she was taking things too seriously and she needed to maybe like realize this thing is silly, which I understand why at the end of it, but it seems like that's like, oh, okay, so the lesson we're trying to teach is that Moki takes things too seriously. And you kind of land there at the end, but it also is like not that important. It's
so disturbing to me that all of her friends are in it and that they all take their masks off and they're like, we're all in it.
Yeah.
It's like, how long have you been in it? Why didn't you tell her? She's your best friend.
Yeah. Well, and they say at the end too that we'll tell Boober tomorrow. So Boober still also doesn't know.
Oh, Boober don't know either. I missed that part.
Yeah.
That's sad. Boober's not going to take it well. Boober will not pass the test. Well, no, actually, maybe he would pass the test faster.
Yeah, because he'll think it's silly immediately.
Yes, he already has his own way to live his life that doesn't jive with that. He'll say it's silly. They'll say you're in the club, and he'll say, No. Bye.
I got my own club of laundry people.
Next, we watched the Beanbarrow, the Bird Inn, and the Bright Bouquet, which I gotta say, I appreciate what they were going for. I think this name is really stupid.
They're trying.
I guess so. If all of the titles of Fraggle Rock were like this, I wouldn't mind. But this one's just like, I guess it feels like they couldn't think of anything else really.
No, because
anyway,
the burden could be in every title of every episode of Fraggle Rock.
Yeah.
There is a burden.
That's true. Really, any episode of almost any TV show ever made.
Yeah. Something bad happens.
Yeah.
I have to say, though, to reward your earlier joke, Sam, we've got really the 311 of episodes here. Because this is Fraggle Rock episode 311, which aired on March 11th, 1985.
Whoa,
so
they're with us. They're here with us now.
We channeled them
by
making that fantastic 311 joke.
This aired, as Matt said, March 11th, 1985. Red and Moki are training up for the all-day cross-cave Beanbarrow race finals against Gobo and Wimbley, in which one Fraggle pushes a wheelbarrow, in this case Red, and the other one sits inside the wheelbarrow and navigates, in this case Moki. But Moki's got a bit of a problem to spring on Red at the last minute. She's really worried about her pet deathwort plant, Lanford, who's recently sprouted red spots all over him and is possibly sick. Moki wants to keep an eye on Lanford, so she would like for him to ride in the Beanbarrow with her. Red is pissed because she and Lanford hate each other. This is going to weigh down the cart. There's lots of issues with this. Lanford's huge, and they're obviously going to lose if he comes along. But mostly they hate each other's guts. But eventually Red concedes because she's a good friend. But as this is happening, news of an emergency spreads around Fraggle Rock. Clinging creepers, a deadly species of fast-growing weeds, have been spotted growing everywhere around the caves. The only thing that can repel these plants is the smell of flowers. So the Bouquet Brigade is called into action. And Moki is in the Bouquet Brigade, so she's got to go. But she promises on her way out to make it back in time for the race. But guess what? She don't. So Red lugs Lanford down to the starting line, and they wait for as long as they possibly can for Moki to come back before the world's oldest Fraggle declares that Lanford will have to be Red's navigator and starts the race. The teams head off into the cave, with the navigators carefully guiding them around passages infested with creepers, but Lanford's a plant, can't really talk, and he doesn't really know what he's doing. So Red and him end up in a cave surrounded by creepers. They climb as high as they can, but the creepers are steadily growing after them. As the unlikely duo sit and prepare for death by plant strangulation, Red decides that Lanford really isn't all that bad, and all that she's annoyed with him for at this point is that he is not a flower. But aha! Lanford reveals to Red that all of the spots he's got growing on him are flower buds, and he's about to bloom like any second. All Red has to do is rock him like a baby and sing him a lullaby for some reason, and he will be covered in flowers. She reluctantly does so. The flowers do indeed bloom, and Red and Lanford escape with their lives and a newfound appreciation for each other. Meanwhile, up in outer space, the town that Doc lives in is trying to pass a pet curfew law that says that all pets must stay inside at all times. There's so many issues with this.
That
curfew
is maybe the most wild thing that's ever happened on Fraggle Rock.
even though 2/3 of the characters in the show live underground in a magical world.
Yeah.
This is weirder than any of that.
Yeah. All pets must always stay inside.
Yeah, and I guess learn how to use the toilet or something?
Yeah, all dogs must use toilets.
Though I have no doubt that Sprocket knows how to use a toilet. At this point...
I mean, the problem is, you're right. The second problem is that immediately I pictured him walking out of a bathroom holding a newspaper.
That's cute,
Don't go in there.
Anyway, this is a truly bonkers law that Doc and Sprocket fight all the way to City Hall. And the City Council agrees to kill the law after Sprocket. And I'm not sure I heard this right.
I think you probably did.
The statue of the town's first whaler? Is that what it is?
Mayor.
I thought they said whaler.
Yeah.
And I even rewinded it and I was like, what are you saying?
Mayor.
But I didn't turn closed captioning on. I guess I should have done that. So he saves the statue of the town's first mayor from being splashed with yellow paint by a protester, something that is seemingly unrelated to anything about the pet curfew, just a random thing that happens. And the city council sees this, decides that dogs aren't so bad after all, and they say, that's no law anymore. Weird stuff. Very weird. The moral, I think this one is not hard, but it's hard to sum up. Everyone has a rich inner life, interests, and talents, and it's rewarding to get to know people better and find those things out. Meh? Maybe?
Yeah, I think that works.
Be friends with your roommate's dog. I guess is another one.
Yeah, pets ain't so bad.
Yeah, even if it's like a big mean plant that tries to eat you all the time. Finally, we watched Gobo's School for Explorers, airing March 18th, 1985, while reading a postcard from Uncle Matt, the rare Uncle Matt postcard that has any bearing on anything. Gobo learns that his uncle has hidden a book of exploring secrets, tips, and tricks in his sock drawer. Gobo finds the book and decides to use it to start a school for explorers. All the Fraggles are pretty excited about this idea until it comes time to actually start going out and exploring, at which point all of them but Moki, Red, and Wimbley chicken out and go with Boober to join his school for laundry instead. The remaining Fraggles set out to find the hole to who knows where under the guidance of Matt's book, except everything it says in the book seems to fly in the face of their own experience and instinct, a fact that, while obvious to his friends, is completely lost on the uncle-loving Gobo, who insists that they follow the guide.
I hate that phrase. Uncle-loving Gobo. I get it. It checks out. I just hate the way it sounds.
Sometimes you love your uncle, who insists that they follow the guide to the letter up to the point where they are completely lost, thirsty, starving, on top of a treacherous mountain. The other Fraggles decide to leave Gobo, who derides them for being lousy fake explorers, and sets off alone to finish the expedition. He almost immediately falls directly into the hole to who knows where, taking Red, to whom he is tied, with him. They manage to catch a ledge on their way down, but they're stuck with the only option for escape, a plunge down a seemingly bottomless pit. So for the second time in 3 episodes, Red prepares for death when Gobo has an idea. He fashions a parachute from their backpacks, and the pair jumps and floats down the hole, headed to who knows where, and who knows where ends up being the Great Hall that we all know and love in the middle of Fraggle Rock, where all their friends are panicking and planning their rescue. They all very generously say that this must have been like a fun prank and a teachable moment from Uncle Matt, but we all know the truth. The man is dangerously incompetent. Meanwhile, up in outer space, Doc tries to install a dog door using the provided instructions, but he makes a mess of things before deciding that he doesn't need instructions, and guess what? He's right. He installs the dog door much more easily without them. The lesson? It's not a good idea to blindly follow someone else's rules. And also in March 1985, Mikhail Gorbachev, is that, yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah.
He becomes the leader of the Soviet Union. And if you were a child in the late 80s and early 90s, you definitely saw this guy on Animaniacs and had no idea who he was. And I still don't really know who he was.
I know he was ordered to tear down the wall by Ronald Reagan.
That's what I thought. He was the guy that did that also. So that's coming, I suppose. Stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned for our deep analysis of that historical event that we clearly know a lot about.
Yeah, Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev tore down a wall, and you maybe can see it at the Hard Rock Cafe nearest you, a little chunk of it.
Well, there wasn't much else, happening in the world of the Muppets around this time. They're gearing up for Labyrinth still, but they're not quite there to shoot it. We talked about last time that they signed Bowie, they signed Jennifer Connelly. They're ready to go, but right now, there was nothing in Jim's journal from this time period, so...
He might just be grinding away at it.
Yeah, he's just gearing up. Well, then getting into the first episode of Fraggle Rock we watched this week, The Secret Society of Poohbahs. This episode did air on March 4th, 1985, was written by Mr. Jerry Jewell and directed by George Bloomfield. A couple of things I wanted to note about this batch of episodes is we got no Gorgs, no Trash Heap in any of these episodes.
Barely any doozers.
Mm-hmm.
Just little doozer gags, basically.
Yeah, no doozer plot lines. And this episode here is one of the few episodes that features no postcard from Uncle Traveling Matt.
I was okay with all of that.
Oh, yeah. I think it's hard to say it's one of my favorite episodes, but I think this batch is a very strong batch.
Yeah. I was thinking if I had to pick for some reason, 3 continuous episodes of Fraggle Rock to say, watch these episodes and you will kind of understand a lot about Fraggle Rock, even though you're not seeing the Gorgs and stuff. Like you want like pure Fraggle Rock. One of like these 3 episodes, I think would do it for you.
Or watching all 3 of these back to back, I think is a really good exploration of, you get to see each character sort of, you don't get a lot of Wembley, maybe being real Wembley.
Yeah.
But the rest of them have really strong character moments.
Yeah, especially Red, who I feel like took the longest to kind of flesh out.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, like, there's so much Red in this, and she's so, like, distinct.
Yeah, and the first two episodes that we watched are very Red and Moki heavy. So yeah, I'm glad we're devoting, I think, the appropriate amount of time to Gobo now, whereas early on it was all about Gobo.
Yeah, Gobo is just one of the guys now, which is totally fine with me. And often, I mean, even before this, often is the antagonist, maybe more than any other Fraggle, I would say.
And yeah, I'd say he's even the antagonist in this batch for the School of Explorers. He becomes an antagonist later on in the episode. But first, we got to talk about the line that starts off this episode. Ned Schimmelfinney has become a chipmunk.
There's 2 episodes in this where Doc just busts into the house, steaming mad, set to 11. And that's the way I like it.
Oh, yeah. No, I prefer Doc when his hair is just flopping around on top of his head because he's so angry.
Yeah.
And it's just flap, flap, flap. But yeah, Ned Schimmelfinney joined the Royal Order of Chipmunks, and Doc pretends he doesn't care, but then immediately Ned calls to invite him to become a chipmunk. So,
and he's just pleased as punch.
It seems like Doc doesn't have many friends, so the fact that his one and only friend has invited him to join his secret society seems...
He has 2 friends. His dog. That counts. His dog is a human, basically.
Yeah, I guess, but...
I mean, it would be sad. Even in this world, it would be sad for him to say, my best friend is my dog.
But I think it's true.
But it is definitely
I don't
true.
think he would say Ned Schimmelfinney is his best friend.
No. And if he did, Sprocket would go.
Well, down in Fraggle Rock, Red is reading a fun story when Moki interrupts her because she sees a Begler Beg, the leader of the exalted high holy order of Poohbahs. I like all parts of this Poohbahs story. I like the Poohbahs themselves when we see them. I like Red's weird role in this that like almost makes me want to go back and watch it again to see all the little clues.
Yeah, because it is like, there was like moments where I was like, how did she learn the secret language so fast? How did so-and-so happen? And it's like, oh yeah, it actually all makes sense.
Yeah.
Even the way that like they're freaking puppets, but her body language when they're like, you have to wear fake glasses and juggle soup. It's like you can tell that she knows, like that she's in on it.
Right. Like immediately she's not like, uh-oh, I have to do this terrible thing. She's immediately like, the ruse is being revealed.
And then when she comes back in, yeah, she's like, woohoo.
But Moki starts writing a sad poem to deal with her feelings about embarrassing herself in front of the Poohbahs.
As she does.
Yeah.
Frequently.
But while she's writing, a note falls in front of her that says, turn around. This is when one of the Poohbahs has brought her a scroll to invite her to join the Poohbahs. This is also when Sam referenced, Moki runs back, tells Red immediately, and then also finds out immediately, hey, you're not supposed to do that. It clearly says here, don't tell anyone about this invitation.
I mean, that seems pretty obvious for a secret society, to be fair.
Yeah, I would understand, though, if, like, you were with a friend who encouraged you to go ask to join the secret society, and then immediately they invited you to join. The first person you're going to tell is the person who was just with you discussing the secret society.
That's, Matt, why you're not secret society material.
Or maybe I am, and I'm just really good at hiding it.
I'm not. I'm definitely not secret society material.
Or are you just really good at hiding it? Are you a secret moose or a chipmunk? I don't think the moose is like a secret society. I don't understand what they are. The moose, the elk, the Knights of the Columbus. I don't know any of those things really are.
I think they're just societies.
Are they just like where old guys go hang out?
I mean, we don't even know about the secret societies, man.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, but I think at this point, anybody can go into those places too. Like, they're just bars now, right?
I don't know. I think they have bars, but I used to live near a moose lodge, and they had pamphlets out in front of the building that just said, have you heard of moose? With a giant question mark. And I'm like,
interesting.
Yeah. I never read the pamphlets,
You never took a pamphlet?
No.
What the hell?
One, I might be too young, but two, I also don't know if that's a club I want to be a part of. I know nothing about their politics.
Well, there's a whole heading called racial discrimination in their Wikipedia. So
that's not great, huh?
Let's not join the mooses. Let's start our own one.
What animal? Go.
How about the
It could
Alligators.
alligators. Where were we?
I don't remember.
We are with the Poohbahs. We see the
Yes.
vanguards, who are great and very serious. We get Convincing John, who we don't really know as Convincing John at this point.
He's got his big creepy teeth poking out. Though,
And his big
so
bulgy
not too hard
eyes.
to
And he
tell.
sounds like Jim Henson, who has only ever performed 2 characters on this show. So it's a good,
Yeah.
the odds are good that it's Convincing John.
Right.
But he's a lot calmer than we normally see Convincing John.
That's true. And it doesn't really necessarily take you out of it for it to be Convincing John, because like a mover and shaker in Fraggle society, being in the club could make sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't reveal anything, I feel like.
No. And the way the vanguard and the other guards or whatever are yelling at each other, the "Who goes there?"
Mhm.
This is another one of those Fraggle Rock things where I'm like, I want these guys around all the time. I want them to be
Yeah,
regular characters
too.
on this show.
There's a lot of the governing bodies and stuff of Fraggle Rock are often the funnest part
Mm-hmm.
that we don't get to see quite as much as I wish we did.
So many rules initiated and set in place that are then never spoken about again. I think like if you put out an official Fraggle Rock wall calendar, every single day would have aligned with something of like, oh yeah, this is the Great Moon Festival, and then tomorrow's when we hunt the sun, and then
Yeah.
today is Gorg's Day, and I
They're
think
very busy.
Yeah.
You got to keep them on a strict schedule, or else chaos really starts to unfold.
we've seen that many times where like literally if they
Yeah.
don't do something, they might freeze to death and die.
I really thought this was a dream sequence for a while.
Oh,
Because the way
interesting.
that it transitions, it's like Moki's like, oh, now I'm gonna get in trouble, and then it like zooms in on her face, and it like fuzzes out like in
Right.
a sparkly way. So it took me up until she showed up. Actually, it took me longer than that even to be positive that it wasn't a dream sequence.
Yeah, it's a bit bizarre, obviously intentionally, because it's a weird group of people being a secret society. That I think is why the ending twist works so well, is because it's truly unexpected, as opposed to a lot of the reveals in Fraggle Rock so far have been hinted at or set up in such a way that it's not an actual surprise.
Yeah, I actually felt a little silly that I didn't realize what was happening until basically.
To be fair, I think
And-
there is a good reason for that we'll get to in a second. But this is the point when Begler Beg shows up, and most of the Poohbahs have no problem with Moki. And most of the Poohbahs seem to have no problem here with Moki wanting to join their ranks. But this is when the mind-reading Poohbah shows up and says that she finds Moki to be unworthy because Moki has told someone about the invitation to become a Poohbah. This is a very clever thing to do, I think.
Mhm.
We have a Karen Prell character here who kind of sounds like if Karen Prell was asked to do her own World's Oldest Fraggle.
Yeah,
And you're telling us
right.
this is mind-reading Poohbah and sounds kind of like Red, but also we've had plenty of times where
A lot of
other
other people sound kind of like Red.
we have Richard
for
Hunt
sure.
doing tons of characters, and it's all like,
Yeah.
that kind of sounds like Junior Gorg, but clearly not
They're
Junior
all
Gorg.
the same guy. Yeah.
So at face value, you just go, oh, this is an older Fraggle Poohbah is performed by Karen Prell. I don't think there's anything there that would make you go, I bet
Yes.
it's just Red.
We're constantly introduced to new, older Fraggles in authority positions
Yes.
who are voiced by one of the same 5 people who are in the show.
Yes. I think there was like 90% of me just assumed it was an old Fraggle.
Mhm.
There was like 5 to 10% of me who thought, okay, there is a chance this is Red, because how would anyone else know?
Right.
that-
And Mookie does say, like, how'd you know that?
Right. And so there was a small part of me that thought maybe it's Red.
Yeah, but at the same time, we're also constantly introduced to new magical powers that
Yeah.
we've never heard of before or since.
Very
So,
true. Well, unfortunately, they proclaim, Moki Fraggle, you will never become a Poohbah. And we transition up to Doc and Sprocket. Doc, who seems to be a chipmunk now, but not fully, comes in.
Maybe he's got some kind of cadet hat or something.
Yeah, he comes in wearing a Viking helmet that has like dog ears on it. And then,
They're chipmunk ears.
I guess, nothing about his
were
outfit
doing-
is chipmunky.
No, that's true.
He's got like a monk's robe.
Chipmunks are pretty generic, though. They're just little brown guys.
Right, but if he had a big old tail or something, I'd be like, yes, he's dressed like a chipmunk. But
Chipmunks don't have big tails, Matt. They have little nubs. So I'd say that's a squirrel.
I guess you're right.
Wrong animal.
Yeah. Well, I guess the other parts of his outfit, which is like a monk's robe with shoulder tassels and a Viking helmet and a sword, really sells the chipmunk illusion.
Chipmunk. Stupid.
Oh. Well, you got me there, Sam. Well, now everything I know is wrong. Because clearly...
I mean, it's more of a chipmunk. I don't think the mooses wear big moose antlers. I actually don't know. Maybe they do.
Now I'm more interested. I'm back in.
Matt, need I remind you of one of the headings?
Ah, shit. I forgot.
Wikipedia.
Damn it. Are the elk okay? Are the elk like the less racist moose?
Moose versus elk. 5 key differences explained. Let's see. Size is a big one.
Oh, no, Sam.
Elk and moose.
I thought you
their
meant...
noses.
I thought you literally found a list comparing the 2 secret societies. Well, Doc, for some reason, has a sword that he hits Sprocket with accidentally. I'm not sure why you need a sword to be a chipmunk. And this is such a brief aside that's actually kind of weird because we go back to Fraggle Rock and we're in the exact same place we were before the Doc and Sprocket aside. Like, no time has passed. And Moki is still standing there by the
Really
Poohbahs. So she had just been told, you won't become a Poohbah. And now they're like, well, maybe you can if you undergo the trial to become a Poohbah. And she says, absolutely, I will undergo the trial.
Then you could have put the Doc and Sprocket thing, because then she's got to go home.
Right. A very weird placement.
One of the things that you can't be a sympathizer to the IWW and be in the Elks Club. So I don't think we want to be in the Elks Club either. Or Bolsheviks. You can't be a sympathizer with Bolsheviks either.
This is... are all secret societies bad, Sam?
They're all nasty. I don't really understand.
Are they a place... I'm not saying anything. I'm asking questions here.
Yeah.
Are these secret societies places for people to get together and be terrible in secret?
Well, I think that the idea of what is terrible or not is a sliding scale throughout history. I mean, not...
I see what you mean.
Literally.
The public perception of terrible has changed.
Sure. Yeah. So they were noble, I suppose, in their time. But I mean, and I have, there's that idea of the third location, third location, where people there's not places for people to gather outside of work or the home anymore, as much as there used to be.
Right.
Bowling alleys. Or there's nowhere that's not a bar for people to go.
Ooh, I bet we could also somehow tie some weird philosophical argument of CrossFit is the true secret society.
Honestly, stuff like that and certain, I mean, you're probably
we could
right.
write a whole paper about is CrossFit more harmful than the Elks Lodge?
We could finally get our doctorates that we've been going after for so long. So I understand the desire to be in a secret society, and were there a secret society for young people like us that wasn't nasty, I would be down for that in a heartbeat. I want to put a robe on and go chant. The world just needs more clubhouses, I think.
Yeah.
Nice clubhouses.
Right. Less shitty clubs.
Me and you are going to start it.
We're going to start a not shitty club.
Yeah.
I think, because I think clubs get very gatekeepy very fast. And I think that's where things start to get in trouble, is when you start saying, this is what you have to do to enter, is immediately going to be leaving somebody out.
I think an important part of getting into our secret society will probably be giving us money on Patreon. That's how you pay your dues.
Join the secret society for only $4 a month.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Red has to give a speech in Upadad, which is kind of like Pig Latin. And that's Moki's trial is apparently to bring Red, and Red has to give a speech.
Yeah.
Which
it's weird.
Yeah, things start to fall apart a little bit at this point. But this is also...
Maybe Moki took it farther than they were expecting her to. They were like, man, she's so stupid.
Yeah, we
have to think of some new stuff.
I mean, I guess it's true that the whole point is that they keep making up rules to make this sillier and sillier.
To eventually make her break down, but she's got an endless capacity for torture. So they didn't expect that.
Which is interesting because at this point, this is one of the things where Moki is really excited about this trial and about doing it. And she's like taking it very seriously and stuff. And yeah, like Red keeps reminding her to like sort of be less serious. And she's like, yeah, I don't know. I get what they're trying to do, but it's a mixed.
Maybe the Fraggles plan was flawed to begin with, though. It's like
all
too
secret
many
societies.
steps. That's true.
Well, Red dives into a song called Keep On Smiling, sort of out of nowhere. And also out of nowhere, Gobo and Wembley appear.
Yeah.
As if it's like, a live stage show cameo where the audience is going to be like, oh, they're here! Because we haven't seen these fools the entire episode. And Red mentions of like, well, Gobo's had this song that he likes to sing to cheer people up. And, I looked it up. This song has not been performed before on Fraggle Rock, but they set it up as if it has been.
And there probably is a song about cheering up that Gobo has sang before that they could have picked. But, nice song anyway.
Yeah, they once again mention grizzly bears and rhinos in this song, things that outside of songs they probably would not normally know about. But again, in Fraggle Rock, in song, they know way more than they ever do outside of songs.
You got to know what a dog is to know what a grizzly bear is. It's an important step in the knowledge gaining process.
Red vows, I promise I'd help, and I will, no matter how dumb. Which is a good friend moment, even though we learn that she's actually behind all of this.
It's a good friend moment in theory, but actually she's being a horrible friend.
And this is when Boober walks in and is like, Moki was just talking in a secret language. And they're like, oh, no. She's just sick. She's just coming down with something. And Boober gives her okra soup, which we learn earlier for some reason she hates.
None of this leads anywhere at all.
No, she didn't need to have a terrible reaction to the soup to make this scene work. She could have just said, oh, I'm cured and I'll stop talking in tongue now, because that solves the problem of him walking in on them and seeing her talking in tongues. Like, she didn't need to hate the soup.
And they introduce okra soup again later in this episode, but nothing comes of it. It just is there.
It's just kind of a running gag of, these Fraggles hate okra soup. But the trial of Moki shall now begin. And we get what I think is the most Muppety and most Jerry Jewel scene, maybe in all of Fraggle Rock.
This is so great.
Jim Henson as Convincing John is going to take roll. And he starts calling out names with Fritz. And he says, say present if you're here, and say linoleum if you're not here. And so we get Fritz, present, Fritz, present, Fritz, present, Fritz, linoleum. And just the way this joke is written, obviously my performance was lacking compared to Jim's.
No, I thought you did a great job.
Oh, well, thanks. But I don't think I hit the beats quite as well as Jim Henson did in his day.
I like earlier when he can't remember what the difference between guilty and innocent is too. That's another good little gag. And this is like one of my favorite Jim voices too. Just the like pitchman voice. I love it so much.
Yeah, and this is like sort of a toned down, because again, Convincing John isn't quite as excitable in this episode as he normally is.
He really got the air taken out of his tires in the one where they learn all of his secrets, I feel like.
But at this point is when the Poohbahs start to introduce a bunch of rules and things that Moki has to do while introducing Red, including speaking a new language and then spinning around on her toes or something. And this all ends with them having to undergo the ordeal of the Glumber gut, which is when Red has to wear funny glasses and juggle okra soup.
I love this kind of like overly bureaucratic thing brought to like its natural conclusion of ridiculousness is one of my favorite kind of jokes. Like in the classic movie, Jupiter Ascending.
The classic film, Jupiter Ascending. Wow. I was like, My Cousin Vinny, 12 Angry Men. Like, where are you trying to go with this courtroom drama, Sam? And what you were trying to get to is Jupiter Ascending.
I actually really like that movie, and there's a really funny part where they're like, you're the queen of the universe. And she's like, oh, cool. And then they're like, well, we got to go get your paperwork, though, we had to get it like notarized, and then she's got to like stand in line with all these crazy aliens. I don't like that part.
I've never seen this film.
It's a good movie. It's a great. I'm disappointed there weren't more.
Is there supposed to be more?
Yeah, it was supposed to be forever.
No.
I mean, it was supposed to be a whole franchise.
That didn't work out, huh?
They set up so many threads that I'll never know the answer to.
I'd rather have another Speed Racer from the Wachowskis before another Jupiter Ascending.
Oh my gosh. Both of those didn't get what they deserved.
Yeah, the last Matrix was bad, so stop with the Matrixes. Give us more Speed Racer and Jupiter. Well, this is the point in which Moki starts to laugh and realize this is all so silly, and that the High Holy Order of Poohbahs is not a serious group, and it's all been a ruse. So much so that one of the Poohbahs pulls off his mask to reveal he's been Gobo the whole time. And Red was the mind reader. It was not just an old lady character being played by Karen Prell.
It creeped me out for some reason. It's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers or something. Just like everything not being true, and all of your friends being
It is a little upsetting
liars.
if they were doing anything more nefarious. Because it is a not serious group who's not really doing anything, I'm more okay with that. If they were, you know, doing some weird shit and then you found out, wait a minute.
They were like, here's our manifesto.
Yeah. Although I guess it would be weird if I found out that you had been a moose this whole time. We've been talking about it. You're like, oh,
And
shit, I
was just lying
better
to your ass.
not tell Matt about my moosdom.
But if somebody handed Moki a manifesto, she'd go, oh, neat.
Oh, yeah, immediately. I believe every word of this, and I haven't even read it yet.
Manifesto. Yeah.
Well, back up in Doc's world, he is back from his initiation, but he is not a chipmunk. They took his ears off of his helmet, which is apparently the only thing that makes you a real chipmunk. And it's because he also started laughing during his initiation.
Mm-hmm. But this one was real. They weren't doing it silly on purpose.
No, they were real serious men with their monk's robes and tassels. But we got a lot of Doc and Fraggles going through similar situations in this batch that I appreciate, even if they don't necessarily overlap. But how'd you like that episode, Sam?
I liked it. And talking about it, I liked it even more than I did while I was watching it. I don't think I actually have any complaints about it. I think in retrospect, it was a very fun episode with a Jim Henson appearance, which is always great, and lots of fun wordplay. I think the part where I got a little bored was when they came out and sang her that song. Like there was a couple, or like when there's like a chunk in the middle where they're singing her the song, and when they're talking to Boober, where it's like, you couldn't think of anything else to do.
So
which is fine.
Really, which I think makes sense, is the parts with the fake language when everyone's just speaking the Oopa Dad. It's just like, all right, I get it. This is okay. We're just going to keep doing this for a while.
And then the last thing set up with like no payoff really. But, you know, it's their fault for, you know, making the show too long sometimes.
And, you know, setting up a huge part of these Fraggles' personality, which will never be spoken about again.
Yeah. But I'm going to give this one 4 stars. It was great.
Hell yeah. Well, moving on to the March 11th, 1985 episode, we got The Beanbarrow, The Burden, and The Bright Bouquet. Written by P.B. Nickel, directed by Terry Maskell. And this is the other one when Doc bursts into his workshop saying, "This is an outrage, a complete outrage."
He should do that every episode.
Can you believe it, Sprocket? Sprocket's like, what now? But this time, Sprocket has reason to be concerned because this is the one with the pet curfew where all pets must be kept indoors at all times, which cannot be legal. I guess if they make it legal, it would
possible. But yeah, you might as well outlaw pets, I guess. Outlaw dogs, at least.
Maybe that's what they're actually trying to do. Because this whole thing is about pets are a burden, not just...
Like a law where no cats could go outside? That's kind of okay, because they decimate local wildlife. But no dogs, they gotta poop somewhere.
Yeah, we don't do dog litter boxes. Mm-mm. And some dogs are real big. Well, down in Fraggle Rock, Red is working out, which is one of those moments in Fraggle Rock, which we talk about from time to time. I don't notice the puppetry in this show. I don't think about the fact that they're puppets at all. They're just characters.
Yeah.
But I had a moment during this where I went, oh, holy shit, that's a really good illusion. I don't necessarily even know how they're doing it. But Red is lifting a big old dumbbell up above her head.
I didn't even think about it for 1 millisecond.
Yeah, they're so good
even
at it.
Enough to notice it, basically.
But while she's working out, she's talking to Moki. And Moki is setting their course for the all-day Cross Cave Beanbarrow race finals, where they got to push Beanbarrow, and Moki's the navigator, and Red's the pusher. They were building this up so much, and it had such a cool name, that I kind of was hoping and thought that this was going to be like a wacky races of Fraggle Rock.
Oh, yeah, that could have been cool. Disappointing part of it was that there was only 2 teams. And I understand why they did that, because it would be a nightmare to do a bunch of teams.
But you should have had like a weirdo third team with like Marlin or whoever, and World Tilt is Fraggle, or like Henchy and Marlin, something like a weird trio of just like, okay, and these guys are here. But Moki does want to bring Lanford along because he's sick, even after she knitted a cool sweater for him, not keeping him any better.
They have communication issues, it turns out, by the end of the episode, though.
Yeah.
Lanford just doesn't want to tell her what's going on, I guess.
Yeah, because it seems like he knows what's going on. And Red is able to communicate with him pretty clearly by the end of the episode. But apparently Moki, now that I say it, not surprising that Moki would just steamroll over someone and say, no, you're sick. And he's like, I don't think I'm sick. And she's like, no, here's a sweater. He's like, this is terrible.
Okay, that's a good point.
But we hear reports before the race begins that the clinging creepers have been spotted in Table Rock Cavern. I forgot the name of it. Something to do with a table. Tabletop, Table Rock, something like that. And so this is an episode that took a couple of turns that I did not expect, and I had to try and keep up, because suddenly everyone says, well, bring out the Bouquet Brigade, because apparently flowers get rid of clinging creepers. And there's just so much lore on top of lore on top of lore, where it's like, I just learned about this race that we're doing, where you have 2 people and a Beanbarrow. What's a Beanbarrow? Okay, here we go. Oh, and suddenly there's a Bouquet Brigade in Fraggle Rock to fight off this enemy that I've just learned about for the first time. And it all tracks. You can follow it all, but it's just way more lore than you normally get in the first 5 minutes of an episode.
I liked it, though. There's something about... I like when things are a little bit like keep you on your toes, keep you off balance a little bit. And I love that the name Bouquet Brigade is so fun.
It's very
good.
good.
Like that Boober was like, when there's flowers involved and stuff like that, Boober's like, yes, I will be brave in this moment. I will spread flowers around. He's like the boss of the Bouquet Brigade.
Well, in the Bouquet Brigade, I'm not sure the structure here, because they also mention an emergency flower defense league. And I'm not sure if that is part of the Bouquet Brigade.
I thought that was like the Bouquet Brigade is like what's the word? The casual name for the flower defense league or whatever. Like that's like how you call the police cops or something like that.
Okay. I didn't know if they were 2 different organizations fighting for the same...
Could be a subgroup. It could be. I don't know.
Right. Now I was trying to figure out, like, is one a subgroup of the other and which way would it go? But...
Right, because for the flower league, you'd assume you'd need somebody growing the flowers, somebody preparing them into the baskets for the Bouquet Brigade. So maybe there is different levels.
Like the Bouquet Brigade is the front line of the Flower Defense League.
They're the smoke jumpers of the Flower Defense League.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Boober's in charge of a little brigade of the Bouquet Brigade. He's handing out floral headbands and reminds Gobo and Wembley that they need them before the race, which made me think, oh, they're going to forget them before the race, because he's telling Wembley to remember his floral headbands before the race. That is not the plot. That's not where it goes, but I thought...
Wembley's only stupid when the plot requires him to be stupid.
Well, and this sort of also, I think, goes in that direction where there's times that things creep up on the Fraggles, or they hear about a monster or something like that, and they all panic and have no idea what to do. They freeze in place. They have to go to the trash heap for help. But in this, they hear about the clinging creepers, and everyone springs into action and knows exactly what to do in this specific case.
This must be a very common issue for them.
I guess so.
Which maybe actually was like now that I think about it, like that was something I liked about this episode, where it does feel like they're not just helpless, but they are actually like guys who live in this cave and have to like navigate it instead of panicking about everything.
They're an organized society. Like they have their fire department too, and we've never seen a fire that they've had to put out in Fraggle Rock.
It would be hard for me to even think about how a fire would start down there.
It'd be bad news, I think. Like if you,
it's so wet. It's so wet down there though. Like there's not a lot of kindling.
Yeah, but it'd be like that mine that's been like burning for 50 years or whatever.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Like,
Doc's hole would just start belching smoke for it all eternity.
he just put boards over it. He would just be like,
He would, yeah.
no problem here.
And we won't worry about that ever again.
We get to see world's oldest Fraggle, who continues to hit poor Henchy, his henchman. He and Henchy both have referee shirts on because apparently they're the one running this race.
I'm kind of sick of this guy.
Yeah, he's kind of a one-note guy. Just repeats everything Henchy says and hits him in the head.
I just feel like we've seen other authority figure Fraggles that could, like, he needs to be part of a group of other elders or something like that.
Which we do see in Back to the Rock, I will say. They do a good job of that.
Okay.
I don't know if that happens at all later on in the seasons of this version of Fraggle Rock, but they do a good, like, panel of elders thing on Back to the Rock.
He's just straight up mean. Like,
Yeah.
he is ignorant, but that is not the source of his meanness.
They don't give him many
He's, like,
redeeming qualities.
Yeah, he knows he's mean. He's not just like overly obsessed with the rules or anything. He's just a dictator in a way.
Well, they call for the contestants, but Moki cannot be found. We get a brief little aside of the Doozers. We see Flower Force 5, which are some Doozers who are apparently even involved in the Bouquet Brigade, which was kind of surprising that the Doozers and
Yeah.
Fraggles largely keep their things separate from each other. Like we've seen many times where the Doozers are just like, oh yeah, the Fraggles have to deal with this shit. Leave them alone.
They're gonna get killed by all those vines. Who cares?
But apparently the creepy clingers are clean creepers.
They're really unified. They're bringing everybody together.
Mhm. And for some reason, at this moment in the episode, as the world's oldest Fraggle starts to beat on Henchy's head, it becomes a beat.
Oh God, I forgot about.
And we get a
this.
song called "Duh Rules," parentheses, WOF's rap,
Oh no.
where the world's oldest Fraggle, unsurprisingly, reveals that he's not a great rapper. Yeah, it's, by the loosest definition, a rap song, where really they're just counting down numbers. They're supposed to be telling you the rules of the race, but like half of the numbers have no...
There's not rules associated with any of them, I don't think, except like one of them.
Yeah, they just say like, number 3, and then they tell you that number 3 is important in some sort of rhymey way, and they move on to number 2. But they don't actually say what the actual rule is. And the song itself is bad. World's Oldest Fraggle is offbeat with his rapping. It feels like they're, really trying to jump on the popularity of rap at the time.
Yeah.
And
Dave Goals is no Frank Oz when it comes to rap.
everyone says it. Dave Goals should leave the rapping to Frank and Jim.
Yeah, Frank's gonna do a diss track about Dave's rapping. That would be amazing.
A Muppet performer diss track. I'm pretty sure at some point Muppets are on like Wild and Out or one of those type of shows.
Oh,
So I think we're gonna get that. We do get that. I'm pretty sure there's a Pepe rap battle against Miss Piggy or something like that at some point. Oh, it's on that TNT show Drop the Mic from a while back. That was like celebrities doing bad, like 8 Mile rap battles at each other that were pre-written. And yes, the Muppets do appear, so we will watch that eventually.
I don't want to. Miss Piggy raps.
Mm-hmm. And I think
God.
Pepe makes a bunch of fat jokes about her, I think.
I'm sure we'll probably see her rap a couple other times.
Oh,
too.
yeah, it's the 80s, baby. We got the early 90s
Yeah.
coming up. Once, I think after, like, once we get into Muppets Tonight territory, I feel like there's going to be a lot of very 90s things happening. Well, getting back to the race starts with Red pushing Lanford into the Beanbarrow, and they take off without Moki, who immediately shows up. I feel like they probably could have just waited for her a second longer.
Well, the world's oldest Fraggle wouldn't let him.
But as they're going, a plant grabs Red's floral headband, and then they go the wrong way through the swinging boulder.
I liked that. That was a cool effect, I thought.
Yeah, there's like this fork in the road that's hidden because the swinging boulder blocks one of the paths. And so Gobo and Wembley go to the right, and then it swings back, and it forces Red and Lanford to go to the left. And everyone is sort of thrown off by this because Gobo and Wembley take a break, and they're like, oh, they should have caught up to us by now. Maybe they passed us.
Yeah. Weird, right? I mean, I guess the Tour de France or whatever has is in legs. So I suppose whoever gets, so they would win because they got to that leg first. But also it's weird to have breaks set up in your race so that the two teams can catch up with each other if it's not a multi-day affair, right? Or there's not judges checking to see who does what.
Yeah. It is. It seems convenient. But the break time is apparently the best time to read a postcard. Which this one, they don't even try to tie into what's going on. They read it, and they don't say anything about it afterwards. The episode.
No, I think Wembley is looking down, and Gobo's like, "Bro, you told me to read that. You're not even listening."
Yeah.
He's like, "No, I was not."
And this one's about a strange flat staircase that Uncle Traveling Matt found. And really, he's walking down a train track in front of an actual train.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I don't necessarily immediately know how they would do that.
Some trains can go real slow.
Well, yeah.
So maybe he was just
But it still seems like it's not probably advised to walk on the tracks in front of them.
I suppose. But they told them that they were going to be there. So the trade man was
maybe they
not
were on some sort of you know those trucks that are made to work on the tracks?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, nope.
In that episode of Muppet.
I meant the actual ones that are still used today.
Truck.
They have the pickup trucks with the little train tracks, and maybe he's in the bed of one of those, and they're just driving in front of the train.
It. He could be in the thing too, though.
This is why we got to get Dave Goals in the podcast.
Were you on it?
Sorry, we insulted your rap career. Please, sir, come on the podcast.
I think he would probably say that's fine.
Yeah, I am okay not being the world's best rapper.
But it would be just as interesting if he said, "Yeah, shut the fuck up. I'm a great rapper."
Actually, I have an album coming out next year. He's gonna pull a Macho Man, or late in his career, he puts out an album of rap songs, putting down all the people he ever worked with. But at this point, we find out that Lanford is the smartest character on Fraggle Rock, because he gets Red to look at the map. It turns out they're in Table Rock Cavern with the clinging creepers. But up in Doc's world, he only got 4 signatures against the pet curfew because everyone thinks pets are a burden.
This would tear America apart.
Well, he's going to attempt to go to town hall and demand a hearing, which I don't know if there's a city hall meeting happening that he's going to, or if he's just going to go to town hall while no one else is there and yell.
It does seem like there's conveniently a meeting happening at that exact moment.
But down in Fraggle Rock, Lanford and Red are getting surrounded by the clinging creepers. And Red tries to get Lanford to talk to them because, they're both plants. But Lanford apparently doesn't speak clinging creeper-ese because he speaks a little bit and they immediately get more angry.
I think the clinging creepers are they're the scariest thing they've ever faced, I feel like.
Yeah, between this and suffocation. In the one episode.
Oh, sure. The scariest living threat that they've ever faced.
Right. There is impending doom here, and you don't immediately see an obvious way out. So you're like, oh,
it's usually just one monster, and that one monster is we'll figure it out. But this is zombies. That's why they're so that's why they're so prepared, because they're this could be, this is serious. We're not screwing around here.
I almost would have liked to see it being a problem for the Gorgs as well. So this is truly a problem that affects all around Fraggle Rock. So the Doozers are involved and the Gorgs are involved. And
that's true. I feel like the Gorgs would just be just pull it,
Yeah, maybe it's just weeds for them. It's those weeds are back again. But Red tries to save them, but Lanford first, by boosting Lanford up onto a rock. And we get some very, very good puppetry here, where Lanford is climbing up the side of a rock using his mouth and leaves to crawl up. And at one point, there's a reverse Lanford puppet that they would have had to build, because Lanford is only holding on by his mouth, and the rest of his body is up in the air. And so the hand would have been in the pot end of Lanford, and the arm would have been in the rock. So his mouth would have been where their elbow is, and they were controlling Lanford upside down.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very, very creative use of that plant puppet. That when initially he showed up, I was like, oh boy, I kind of hope he doesn't show up ever again.
I love Lanford. He's one of my favorite guys.
Now he is, but early on, I kind of was worried that he might ruin storylines by them having to involve him too much. But Lanford ends up pulling Red to safety. Lanford saves the day in so many ways, and they're now bonding. But this is when Gobo and Wembley make it back and realize, oh, Red didn't actually pass us, so I guess they're dead? They must be trapped somewhere?
This is the second, this episode and the next one is also a thing where everyone realizes that someone's in danger mere seconds before they're out of danger for basically no reason.
Yeah, we don't get the prolonged periods of potential death like we do in the Marooned episode where Boober and Red almost die.
I guess not every episode needs to be a real meditation on mortality.
No. But we find out that Lanford is getting ready to flower, and that's what the red polka dots are. But in order to flower, he needs a lullaby sung to him. And so Red sings him a sweet lullaby called The Wind and the Pond and the Moon and Me.
I like how even Red is like, that seems convenient and strange, but okay.
Well, okay, if it's going to save our lives. And so after the song, Lanford wakes up with a bunch of flowers and scares away the encroaching, clinging creepers. And they escape and make their way back to their friends.
I also really like the way that they revealed that he was flowers. Because, like, obviously, to me at least, it was obvious that was going on and that he was going to flower. Like, that's the only way that they could have gotten out of it, basically. But I liked how she was like, you ain't so bad. The only thing I hate about you is that you're not a flower. And then I loved the puppetry of him being like, bang, and like opening his mouth really wide. I thought that was a very nice moment.
Yeah, I don't know who's puppeteering Lanford, but who's ever doing it?
It's not any of the normal people.
Oh, Muppet Wiki attributes it to Rob Mills, who Rob Mills is inside the body of Junior Gorg.
Oh, okay. So good pantomiming skills.
But yeah, as far as the Fraggle plotline, it just sort of wraps up there once they make it back to their friends. And now Red and Lanford are pals. And up in Doc's world, this is where we find out that they threw out the curfew because Sprocket stopped a man from throwing paint on the statue of the town's first mayor.
That's how they thought. That's the only way they could figure out how to finish this plotline.
I guess so. Like how...
He couldn't have just given a beautiful speech or something. Like, I don't know. It'd be funny if they I know they would never do this because they just don't do this kind of thing. But if it was like... They went to City Hall and you saw them, and Sprocket was up at the podium going like, row, 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 row. And then he was like, and then everybody was like,
you've convinced
beautiful,
us.
Sprocket, beautiful. Yeah.
They're like, I have no idea what he said, but he acted way too much like a human right now. I don't think we can be mean to him.
I'm not comfortable with this rule anymore. But the paint subplot coming out of nowhere. Like, I don't know. Maybe Doc should have read a newspaper that was like, our first mayor. I don't know. It's just like, what? Why? Maybe they were throwing the paint. First thing I thought, maybe they're throwing the paint on the mayor for a good reason.
I also was like, how shitty was that first mayor? Maybe he deserves to be painted.
Like a Civil War South sympathizer.
Maybe he was the first whaler. He's like, hey guys, we can kill these big things and like eat them and use their fat for lamps and stuff. And
yeah, when I thought it was whaler, I was like, well, you're protecting quite an interesting thing. You're making an interesting statement here, Fraggle Rock. But Mayor still is like, what's going on here? Your right-wing dog trying to protect the statue of Jefferson Davis from being torn down.
Yeah. Well, what'd you think of that episode overall? The paint plot, if you maybe ignore the paint plot part of it.
I thought it was really fun. It's just like a breezy, stupid kind of episode. I love the Bouquet Brigade. I just think that's fun. A fun phrase. I liked the effects of the swinging rock and like, I don't know. I thought it was really great. I will give this one 4 stars too. It was just fun to watch.
Ah, damn.
What about you? Did you like that one?
I did. I love the depth of the Fraggles being prepared for a situation like that. I do think.
Yeah.
And I like Red and Lanford becoming friends. I think overall, just again, nothing bad to say about that episode.
I really like Red. I think Red, for some reason, she's the Fraggle that I sympathize with the most for some reason.
Interesting.
Moki's too stupid.
Yeah, I think we've seen a lot of Moki falling for things or not picking up on things so much so that, like,
Yeah.
even if we are a Moki, I don't think we want to be a Moki.
Right. Red's got a temper, but she thinks things through. Like, she's more logical than a lot of the rest of them are generally.
Yeah, and she doesn't, she does not suffer fools gladly. She is, let's move on. Let's get to the business end of this. Let's just keep going forward.
She probably reminds me of my wife. Is probably
You've said that before on this podcast, so that is not the first time you have compared your wife to Red Fraggle.
When in the next episode, there's some things that she said where I was like, "That's a big Rachel move."
Well, I'm curious how Rachel would feel about that comparison.
I think she'd be all right with that.
Well, speaking of the next episode, it aired on March 18th, 1985. It was called Gobo's School for Explorers, written by David Young, directed by George Bloomfield. Up in the Doc world, we got Doc, who's going to install a doggy door for Sprocket so he doesn't have to knock on the door to be let in anymore.
Great concept, but Doc says, I've never been able to figure out how to build a doggy
He
door
says, I wanted to do this for years.
You moron. I feel like you've built like computers before and stuff. How did you not?
I miss his fun gadget days.
Yeah, he doesn't do that
He's not
anymore.
really an inventor anymore. He used to invent just a bunch of weird shit.
I feel like at this point his house is falling apart enough that he's always fixing something in his home.
Well, and he's always
instead of
fixing stuff at the
inventing
inn.
stuff.
He's got a job
the
now.
inn. I
His
forgot.
job is not
He probably
tinkerer.
That inn is probably filled with all kinds of. He probably built like a breakfast machine that like Pee-wee that does not work at all.
That's why Miss Ardath's like,
That's
yeah,
his
go
part.
take out the garbage. Maybe don't worry
Put
about
it
this.
in your house or something. Yeah.
Well, while this discussion about the doggy door is going on, we see Gobo coming through the Fraggle hole for the first time in quite a while.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time we've discussed Gobo heading out to the real world here, but I know we have talked about him not doing it for a while and how we hadn't seen it happen, so it's nice to see it again.
Yeah. I think it slowed down after he and Sprocket kind of came to an agreement with each other.
Which seems to have gone away because
Yeah.
Sprocket does not like
Their truce
Gobo
is
again.
gone.
He's barking at him, chasing him away. We find out Red Moki and Wembley have also joined Gobo on this adventure, and they keep praising him for being so brave for trying to go out there and get this postcard, which I feel like they already knew, but they're just continually impressed.
Don't give this loser that kind of. He'll take it and run with it. You're about to see what happens.
Or maybe Gobo was like, hey, Sprocket, I'm going to bring some friends up here next time.
That'd be awesome.
What if you still act scary? I know we're cool. I know, dude, I love you. You're good. But next time, act a little scary so my friends think this is a brave thing I'm still doing.
That would actually be a great little moment. He's like,
He slips him
paying him off
$5.
somehow. Yeah.
Hey, thanks, man. That was great. I really appreciate that. Made me look really cool in front of my friends. Well, we get Uncle Traveling Matt's postcard and read it immediately because it needs to set up the plot. He discovered
Yeah.
a school for explorers, which is a playground, and says, Gobo, let's someday start a school for explorers. In fact, I even wrote it in a book, The Secret Rules of Exploring, which I left
I just
in
remembered.
my sock box. Which is very convenient. I'm not saying it made me dislike this episode, but this feels like a book that would have been really helpful a lot earlier on Uncle Traveling Matt.
for decades. Like, I don't know.
But as the Fraggles leave the little nook there by the hole, Wembley calls attention to the fact that he always bumps his head on the pipe.
He's a regular Tim Tool man.
Well, that's something we also brought up once before we noticed it and went, wait a minute, does he do that every time? And apparently, yes, because he says, for once in my life, I'm not going to bump my head on this stupid pipe. And so he ducks, he runs into the wall, and then bounces back into the pipe.
I don't understand how he ran into the wall, but
Yeah,
I still appreciate the attempt at this joke, but
I appreciate him acknowledging the fact that he always hits his head. But yes, the payoff of him just running face first into a wall didn't really
yeah.
do much for me. Not important to the overall plot at all.
Nope.
But they go back to Fraggle Rock and they find Uncle Matt's book, which even mentions Blue Rock, by the way. So again, it would have been really helpful early on.
Yeah.
Everyone,
But whatever was in it would have been wrong, probably.
that's true.
He
We
would have
do
gotten
find
killed.
everything is wrong here. Everyone immediately wants Gobo to teach them to be explorers, although Red is suspicious because not because Uncle Traveling Matt, who she seems to hate, but because specifically Gobo can't even teach himself how to whistle. How is he supposed to teach us how to be explorers?
I don't know if I buy that. I think her hating Matt is plenty of
Yeah.
She doesn't have to drag Gobo's name through the mud. He already has his problem, which is that he's obsessed with this guy who's an idiot.
Well, this moment transitions us into another song called Get Going, where we, pretty much just, we're kind of reading the book, I think. So from Uncle Traveling Matt's point of view is what's happening here. But really it's just...
he wrote in the book about how much of a god-level explorer he is and how, like, ancient prophecies said that he would come and be so good at exploring. Is that what it says?
Kinda, and it's just saying, if you got what it takes, get going. Get out there and explore. We get to see an interesting detail inside of the book, which is apparently the Fraggle alphabet. It looks untranslatable, like it doesn't look like they actually created a Fraggle alphabet that we could use. But there is a unique type of writing inside that book that we have not seen.
Very vertical line based.
I will say we have not seen it before, but I think it might also be on the scroll in the Poohbahs episode.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
So I haven't noticed it before this batch of episodes, but I have noticed it twice in this batch.
That is the kind of thing that they pay attention to. Like, I bet it's in the book of where they find the genie. I bet they're similar on that too. Because that is the kind of like that kind of graphic design, like the mark of the Fraggle, is something that they definitely have carried through.
Yeah, I don't remember the little phone book ad for the genie well enough to know, but it probably did have the same writing. Well, the hole to who knows where is the first stop on the journey, and this is what immediately scares off most of the other Fraggles. So they decide to join Boober's School for Laundry.
I like that Boober gets a win here, where he's like, all right, guys, let's go. And then we see it later, and it seems like it's going very well.
It's going very well. And he's got a pupil who is maybe going to replace Boober as the main laundryman eventually.
You always have to be training your replacement, Matt.
Well, Red, Moki, and Wembley are, they decide, maybe reluctantly a little bit, to join the journey to the hole. And rule number 1, when you put on your pack, there's no going back.
Bad rule right off the bat.
And rule number 2 is begin by following your nose.
Confusing rule right off the bat.
Back up in Doc's world, he is overcomplicating the measuring for the doggy door, but seems to be trusting wholeheartedly the instructions he got from Mr. Doggy Door, the company who made the doggy door he ordered.
Seems like a commentary on IKEA instructions or something, maybe.
Yeah, the moral of this episode just seems to be like, don't trust anything written down. Trust your gut.
I would say that like that kind of instructions for furniture, installing things, that's maybe more important than like personal advice kind of stuff. But what do I know? Just put together your sofa however you want.
Yeah, trust your gut. Where do you think that cushion goes? That's the right answer. And to double down on this idea, back down in Fraggle Rock, Gobo is walking through the cave and says, sure is great having all these rules. We don't even have to think.
They're really heavy on the moral in this one. There's a lot of lines that are, I think, Doc right before this says, nothing can go wrong as long as you follow the rules. Very clear. Makes my job easier when I'm describing the moral at the end. At
this point, the Fraggles are all tied together. They've got little explorer hats on. Moki's hat is too small and Red's hat is too big. And at no point do they go, oh, we should swap hats.
Moki's hat being too tight was hilarious because it pops off of her head due to the sheer force of the size of her head. And also she says it's too tight that she can't hear anything.
Which means that either Fraggle ears are on top of their head or it's just compressed her head so much that it's shut off her senses.
It's causing some problems, yeah.
We find out the third rule of exploring is never go exploring without protective headgear, hence the hats. And you must always begin an expedition by taking the first left turn. So again, at this point, Gobo says, well, my gut says I'd go that way to the hole who knows where, but the instructions say I take a left, so let's go against my better instincts. And this leads to another song called Face Facts, Pack Snacks, Make Tracks.
Beyond the song even, I fucking love this part with the little tiny Fraggles climbing up that mountain because it reminded me so much of when the elves are sneaking into the cavern in the Great Santa Claus Switch,
Yep.
and they have that hilarious song with all the rock puns. And I was like, they should have just brought that song back. That song would work perfectly well on Fraggle Rock.
Well, I feel like we even get a similar moment in this where we just get close-ups of their feet as they're scurrying across.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing happens with the elves, where we just get random close-ups of their feet.
I think you're right.
Well, they find a pool of water, and Red's like, oh, it's sweet water. This is what we've been drinking our whole lives. This is amazing. We're so tired from this hike. Let's drink this water. And Gobo says, whoa, well, Uncle Traveling Matt's book says never drink where the moss grows pink. So, sorry, we can't drink this water.
Now, growing up in Montana, where you're not supposed to eat pink snow, this did ring true to me.
Yeah.
But
that is fair. Yeah, no, I was hoping he was right for his own sake. But he convinces them not to drink it and says there's clean drinking water at the top of this very steep cliff. So they start to climb a very steep cliff. So steep, in fact, that Wembley gets all dizzy and falls. Thankfully, Moki is strong enough to carry him up the side of the cliff, and Gobo is strong enough to hold all of them with the rope. It's very impressive.
Well, she's got real hands, so
she's pulling the like Andre the Giant
feats.
and Princess Bride role.
Yeah, she's the biggest frag.
But when they get to the top, it's just some gross stink water. At this point, Wembley is looking very near death. He is accepting his fate. He is not going to make it.
Wembley loves to almost die. It's one of his favorite things to do.
He does it quite often.
Yeah.
But Red decides they need to think and use their heads and go back and drink the sweet water.
Yeah.
And Gobo is, you know what? He's still not convinced. He's going to follow the book.
He's full Colonel Kurtz. Is that the guy from Apocalypse Now? He's just gone too far down in the mission rabbit hole.
Well, thankfully, it doesn't go quite that direction in this episode. But Gobo does go off on his own and falls down a big old hole. But Red was unfortunately still tied to him. And so she also gets pulled down the hole. But Gobo at this point throws the rules away and then whistles as he throws them. This comes back a little bit of like, he even taught himself how to whistle, but he just kind of did it.
Unnecessary subplot.
Yes, I agree. Especially, as we said, like Red already had disdain for Uncle Traveling Matt. That could have been the whole thing of like what would have, I don't know. But I guess she needed a reason.
And Gobo's already a good explorer. They don't even really mention the fact. They do in a way, but they don't ever call out like, you're already good at this.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need this.
But when he sees the paper floating down, he gets an idea. But before we see what that idea is, we cut back to Boober's School of Laundry. But Moki and Wembley run back to tell them what has happened. And we get something that shows up again here that I, again, didn't expect to show up again. Wembley is kind of losing it, can't focus, can't explain what's happening. And so Boober says, quick, shake him upside down. And this is something we saw before when Wembley was Wembling.
They've done that?
Mm-hmm. That was the solution to get Wembley to stop Wembling once before, was to turn him upside down and shake him. Well, Gobo decides to build a contraption to drop them down into the hole. And at this point, we don't really see what's going on. They're just sort of tied up together. And Gobo says, it was good knowing you. And they give each other a little hug.
Also, at this point, the episode is so close to done that there's only one logical conclusion for where they could be jumping
They're
to.
plummeting to their death.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's two.
Well, I wanted to bring up something here from Muppet Wiki, because when Jerry Nelson died, Karen Prell wrote a memorial post about him and specifically mentioned this scene in her memorial post. She mentions that together they would often go into a scene knowing where it was going, but wouldn't overplan all the little details of a scene. And they just let emotions take them. And this was one of the scenes. So she said, quote, during the final take of that scene, Jerry quietly said Gobo's line, "It's been good knowing you, Red." There are a few other lines scripted for each of us to say at the moment, but the emotions of the scene touched us and we both spontaneously chose to skip some of the talking. Instead, Red and Gobo simply snuggled their heads together, the deep truth of their friendship revealed in a tiny gesture. It's a microscopic moment that is barely noticeable, but it felt very powerful to us at the time. After that take, Jerry and I just looked at each other and smiled. No words necessary.
It is a very nice moment.
Mm-hmm. And, even nicer that it was real. And it's just two puppeteers making a real emotional moment happen. But it turns out Gobo made a parachute. And that is their solution, which, good job, Gobo. Back in the rock, everyone's still losing it because Gobo and Red are missing. They're trying to figure out how to save them. They have no ideas. They're trying to put together a plan.
Like the two guys who usually put their plans together are the ones who are missing.
So thankfully, Red and Gobo parachute into the Great Hall right as they're struggling to come up with ideas. And it just sort of ends as they land and everyone celebrates. And Red brings up again, well, at least you learned how to whistle, even though we found this useless hole. And that's when Gobo whistles the Fraggle Rock theme song.
His mouth makes kind of an alarming shape, in my opinion.
Anytime we've seen a Muppet whistle, it's been a little unpleasant.
It's not good. But yeah, I'm not imagining that there is a moment where they're like, this was Matt's plan all along, right?
Yeah, no, they basically say like, oh, he must have been playing a joke on us.
No way.
No, he's just an idiot. And up in the Doc world, Doc finishes the doggy door. And he threw out the instructions and he's thinking for himself. And he makes a simple doggy door that swings open like every other dog door you've ever seen.
I do feel like there are moments where Doc's whole storyline kind of flies in the face of what the Fraggles have learned, or muddies the water enough that it's like, eh?
Yeah, but I still like when they overlap. I think this one was messy enough on both ends that neither one of them negates the other too bad.
Right, that's true.
Well, Sam, what did you rate that episode?
You know, I'm going to have to give this one 4 stars too, because I loved them climbing that mountain so much, because it was like The Hobbit or something. It just had such good Hobbit vibes.
Yeah.
I love the concept of sweet water and stink water. I think that's amazing. And I like that they're just like bringing, even though they didn't quite do it for some reason, I like the fact that they're bringing around the fact that Matt is a dumbass.
I wish Gobo was learning that lesson, though.
Yeah, that is like a weird undercutting of it, is to like try to think of some reason desperately that Gobo would be a bad teacher, instead of just, you already are great at, like, you're already good at this. You don't need someone else to tell you what to do.
Right.
Is better advice than anything else. Like, that's a better lesson than anything else.
Yeah, we didn't need to bring in whistling. Well, that must mean it's time for our Muppet of the Week. This week's Muppet of the Week is Convincing John. He is the most musically manipulative Muppet there is. And he has his own theme song and his own backup band, the Fragglettes. Beyond that, there's very little to learn about Convincing John, I'll be honest with you up front. But
have we seen the last of him as well?
We have. This was his last appearance.
No.
But it has been said that Convincing John can convince the stones to change color, convince a Gorg that he is a doozer, and convince a doozer to stop working and start dancing. So we've seen him be really successful as convincing. Mm-hmm. And then we see him in this batch just kind of being a normal dude.
Yeah, at the end of the Poohbah one, he's like, convinced you, didn't I?
Like, you didn't do anything. Like, you could have done this at the beginning very easily. You could have just sang a song to convince Moki that this is a silly organization. Job done.
You could have really helped us out here, bud.
Well, while he is fantastically convincing via song, we do find out at one point that he is a Wembler just like Wembley. But for him, that's a good thing, because the anxiety of thinking of all the things that could happen allow him to see all the possible angles of things, which then makes him have this prize cave where he could set up a game show for Wembley.
Things get a little weird from there.
He's a very odd character. But yes, we have seen him 3 times. Once just being very convincing the Fraggles not to eat doozer sticks. The second time was when we revealed all his secrets about him being a Wembler. And then now he is a member of the Poohbahs. But he debuted on Valentine's Day 1983 in the preachification of Convincing John. And he has been performed by Jim Henson in all of these appearances. And he has not appeared in Back to the Rock. So at the moment, there is only one performer ever for Convincing John, and that's Jim Henson. However, he is in the animated series where he looks a little bit different. And Muppet Wiki, nor IMDb, currently have a credit for who performs Convincing John in the animated series. And I went and looked, watched a small clip of it, and he does sing, so somebody is doing his voice acting. And I gotta say, boy, oh boy, Sam, I'm not looking forward to watching that series.
I'm not either. I think it's going to just be really awful.
It looks way bad. It looks like
Yeah.
it gives us the 11-minute segments like we were hoping for Muppet Babies. But what that does, again, from the like 5 minutes I watched, it reduces all of Fraggle Rock's deep emotional arcs into just exposition and people just saying things at each other to get through. The lesson is never going to be subtle. There's not going to be like some deep meaning. People just say exactly what they mean at all times. Maybe somebody can tell us if this show has some redeeming qualities. But from what I have seen so far, I am reevaluating how we are going to discuss it in the future. Because we're currently slated to discuss it 3 episodes at a time, like we normally do with our series now.
Oh, there's only 13 episodes of it.
Yeah, but
let's just knock them all out at once.
That's what I'm maybe thinking we should do, is just like have a real rough week where we watch 13 episodes of this show back to back to back, and then just discuss the whole season at once. Because it seems very bad. Again, I will let, you can tweet at us or Instagram message us, whatever, at Commitment Pod. Let us know if you have feelings on the Fraggle Rock animated series. It's a thing I feel like I never hear anyone talk about. So maybe no one else has put themselves through that. But if you think we should give the episodes a little bit more time to discuss, let us know if they're worth that. If not, we will still watch them all, but we'll discuss them maybe all at once. And I'm glad we had that to talk about because there's nothing else to say about Convincing John.
All right.
But what would you rate him, Sam?
He kicks ass. He's a great guy. He's a classic Muppet character. He's Jim Henson doing one of his funniest voices, which I've already said. He's so Simpsons-like, which, it's like one of my favorite pieces of media. So when anything is like when Fraggle Rock is Simpsons-like the Bouquet Brigade thing, the way the community is coming together in a very stupid way feels like Springfield to me. And the Poohbah thing obviously is very Simpson-y too. So he just has enough toes in the Simpson pool. I got to give him you don't see him very often. And he's got a fucking weird home life, which is like, so that episode was a little bit of a downer because I was like, what are you talking about? So I'm going to give him an 8.5.
Yeah, he's got some Lyle Landley energy from the Monorail Simpsons episode. Especially, I think the Poohbah song reminded me of the Monorail song a little bit this time.
Totally.
But
his theme song is great.
Oh, yeah. And they do a worse version of it in the animated series, which is a bummer.
Oh,
he sings like an a cappella version at one point without the Fragglettes, which is just useless. I'm going to give him a 7. Because I do think I agree that like we haven't seen a lot about him. There's not a lot to learn. He kicks ass sometimes, but he also has a bit of a downer episode in that middle one. So he gets a 7. But before we go, Sam, it's been, again, like we said, almost a month since we recorded last. Have you had some time to enjoy some non-Muppet things?
Yeah, I'm sure I've been doing a lot. One thing that I've been playing that's really fun is F-Zero 99. Have you seen this?
I mean, I've played the original F-Zero, I think on N64, whatever platform that was on.
Oh, Matt.
PlayStation.
The original F-Zero was a Super Nintendo game. But the one everybody likes was for GameCube, I believe.
No.
And I think there was one for 64 too. F-Zero X was for 64. F-Zero GX was for GameCube. And those were the two that are more like beloved. And I loved those games when I was a kid. But this one, F-Zero 99, is based on the Super Nintendo version. And it's just like, those other 99 games like Tetris or Pac-Man 99.
It's like a battle royale.
Yeah, it's like that, but you're racing on a racetrack with 98 other racers. And it's just like fun as hell because you can like blow each other up and jockey for position. And I don't know. It has like
it looks really fun.
Progression system. It is. I like it a lot. And then a couple nights ago, I watched The Haunted Mansion.
Oh, the new Disney original film.
Yep. One of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
That's a bummer.
I hated it. But I love to be fair, love The Haunted Mansion a lot. It's just...
Yeah, but then it should be made for you.
That's true. It should... I couldn't... it's just so pointless. The whole thing is just so pointless, and Jared Leto's in it and shouldn't be.
Yeah, none of the trailers ever made me go, oh, well, you know what? Maybe
Yeah.
I'll give this a chance.
It's worse than, and this is not to say that Muppets Haunted Mansion was bad. It's much worse than that movie and much less satisfying to a Haunted Mansion person, I would say. Like the set
Bummer.
is cool, but oh God, the part with there's just an embarrassing part with the stretching room.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I won't even get into it. It's just embarrassing. It's like an action. It's an action movie in a way, like a kid's action movie, just like the Eddie Murphy one, sort of. But worse than that too, I would say. Also, because it has it's just a big goofy cartoon. So I hated it. Rachel liked it though, so your mileage with it may vary.
I was also on planes a lot. I chose to catch up on some movies that I had missed. So I watched the Dungeons and Dragons movie.
You didn't see that before?
No.
I like that movie.
I had a lot of fun with that movie. It was surprisingly fun. I also watched The Fabelmans.
Oh, did you like that?
I loved it.
Yeah.
It was one of those movies where I was like, I want to watch that again immediately. And like, I think to be fair, I feel like Spielberg like has that effect on me where I like fall in love with his movies and I don't always go back to it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, is that one of my favorite movies ever?
Yeah.
So it might be. But I also watched the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh, okay.
Didn't love it.
Yeah.
Gotta say, have no interest in ever rewatching that movie again.
It's so cartoonishly exactly what you would expect that movie to be. Like, it's the worst possible version of what that movie
It's the most inconsequential movie I think I've ever watched.
Yeah. Like,
my life is 0% different after watching that film. Like, it didn't move the needle at all.
Yeah. I saw it with a friend's child, not just me and the child. I saw it with
the friend was also there.
I saw it with some friends and their kid. And at the end of it, me and my friend were like, that movie was so stupid, blah, blah, blah. I hated it. And then the kid, he's like 5 or 4. He was like, I really liked it. It was so sad. I was like, okay, I guess this movie's for children, but children deserve better.
I mean, I'm sure my parents felt the same about We're Back or something like that when I was a kid. I was like,
I
this
suppose.
Stuff sucked. There's
a part in it where, okay, so sorry, I'm totally hijacking I saw this. First of all, if you search for it, you can find where they had original music in the parts where they did the needle drops of like Take On Me and stuff. God. And there's way better music that they had scored and then they replaced it later with that. Like there's a whole Donkey Kong medley in that part where they're driving through Donkey Kong Town.
The needle drops were annoying, I will say. There were so many of them and they were all the most obvious song choices ever. That it was really annoying.
Yeah. But also there is one part in that movie where I'm like, okay, this could actually be a pretty good movie. And it's when Donkey Kong and Mario are in the belly of the big eel guy. I like that part. I like when those two are like having their rivalry with each other. That could have been like a whole buddy movie with those two that they just touch on a little bit. But
I think that's the other thing is it felt like they spent every idea possible that could be in a Mario movie in one Mario movie.
They crammed so much into it. And so they just glossed over it so much. Yeah.
Yeah, like nothing got any time really spent on it. It was just like, now we got to go drive the carts. Oh, now there's a Donkey Kong, and now there's a Toad, and now there's a this. And it's just like listing the things from Nintendo. And it just didn't feel like they were giving anything enough time to be important.
Yeah.
And I can't believe the end credits thing wasn't teasing Wario or Waluigi.
You already fucking saw Yoshi. You saw Yoshi's elsewhere. It is not exciting to think about, we're going to see Yoshi. Also, Yoshi sucks. Nobody cares about Yoshi.
Yeah, it's not going to be like Yoshi, like, oh my God, the whole second movie is going to be about Yoshi. I can't wait. Like, you're supposed to reveal like a threat or something in those end credit scenes of like setting up a whole plot line of something important could happen. Like
if it had been Wario
meeting a dinosaur is like, he just fought a giant dragon turtle. A little cute dinosaur isn't going to change his world. Especially since, again, he saw a whole swarm of them running around.
And he saw them as well. So not really exciting. He will say, oh, it's one of those guys I saw.
But this one seems to like me more. Well, and the other day, to get into the spooky holiday-ish season, not the most spooky movie, but we started off our seasonal watchings with Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window, which I mentioned earlier, but is, a really good movie.
Yeah. I love the set. That set is so fucking amazing.
It's one of those things that is just, every part of it, you're watching it, and if you think about it for more than a minute, you're just like, oh, but why, Alfred? That's just so complicated. Why would you do this to yourself?
Yeah. There's a lot of Alfred Hitchcock movies that I feel like don't quite live up to the hype, but they just have parts of it that are just like, this is so boring. For like,
he's one of those people who like you hear about the good ones. The ones you hear about, like go watch Vertigo and Psycho and Rear Window and The Birds. There's a lot of other ones that you don't hear about as much for a reason.
I think to me, Vertigo and North by Northwest are two that verge onto a little bit. This is a little overstuffed. You could have maybe trimmed this a bit. They're both good, but they're both just like, But when I at least watch Psycho and Rear Window and Rope is another one that I love. I'm just like, holy shit. That's like, this is so great.
That guy, good director. Everyone else is afraid to say it. But Alfred Hitchcock,
we're taking a brave stance here. He also is one of those guys who fits into like no matter what movie you watch, it's like, oh, it's an Alfred Hitchcock movie, so it's a Halloween spooky movie. It's okay,
right? Yeah, like Rear Window is not the spookiest movie. There's like one sort of thrilling scene, but it's a nice warmer for the season.
A lot of talk of murdering your spouse and stuff like that. So
yeah.
Then you got to watch the Simpsons companion piece, Bard of Darkness.
Mm-hmm. It's really hard to not think about that while watching it.
About Flanders screaming like that. Yeah.
Just all the plot points of like, when you watch something that's been like riffed on The Simpsons where you're like, wait, what actually happens in this versus what happens on The Simpsons?
And when you're young enough to have seen The Simpsons much more before you saw the other one.
You're like, hey, they ripped off The Simpsons. Well, we should get out of here, Sam. But before we go, gotta let the people know, and what we're watching next time. And next time, we're headed into April of 1985. And we'll be back with a new episode about the next 3 episodes of Fraggle Rock Season 3, titled Scared Silly, The Great Radish Caper, and Born to Wander. But we also need to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast, and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to go to commitment.com or commitmentstuff.com. Both great websites where you can find all.
What's the camel one?
Camelmatch.com just got renewed because I forgot to not renew it. So, yeah, you can go to camelmatch.com to get there as well. Or you can just contact us at mail@commitment.com if you have anything, you just want to tell us about Muppets, or if you have some links to unseen Muppet things that the internet's been hiding from us.
Which people share with us is very exciting. I love when the newly found clips chat room is lit up.
Yeah, we have a very active Discord with our Patreon patrons that we have a whole channel on there of newly found clips that is extremely helpful to have people doing some of that work for us when new things pop up on the internet and we have to quickly download them before they get deleted forever. Which it has happened. There's been things posted in there. I didn't download them fast enough, and now they're gone again. So,
oh shit!
Yep.
So get back on it, guys. Sorry, whoops.
But you can follow this podcast everywhere on social media. We're on all the Twitters at CommitmentPod. Let us know which one you're on because Blue Sky and Threads. I don't know if anyone's using those, but we're on them. You can also find me on the internet everywhere at Matthew Gatos,
and I'm everywhere at I'm Sam Schultz. I am Sam Schultz. I'm Sam Schultz.
You're having an existential crisis right now.
I don't look at it much anymore.
You are
I'm all
Sam
screwed
Schultz.
Up.
Well, as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.